Well, hello again everybody, welcome back to part 3 of building this wooden Mortise rim cylinder, a copy of this American lock. So we've got the body of the lock and we've got warding in the keyway, we've got the core. So the next thing to do is in the back of the core. As we can see, compared with this, we need to make, trying to get the focus to work today, that cutout, or the two cutouts in the back of the core for the tailpiece to fit onto, and also a key. So we have this bit of maple here. Don't forget we're double sized, so we've got probably enough there to make the key and the tailpiece out of. They're fairly similar in thickness, not quite the same, but we'll go for the same. So first job today will be taking a slice off here on the bandsaw, so we've got a nice thin piece to work with. So we'll get that set up over there and have a look. Right, so we've got the bandsaw set up, nice thin cut. I've tried a couple of little bits out of some scrap softwood just to get the size. We're fractionally oversized, hopefully. So that should work. Gives us just that little bit for sanding it down and getting a nice good fit. So we shall cut this. Yet again, it's going to be noisy, camera's in the way, so I'll do it off camera and then we'll look at cutting everything out. Well, as you can probably see, I didn't have enough on that piece of maple without cutting another whole slice off it, but I did have a bit of walnut lying around that I'll cut off another job, which is thin enough for the tailpiece. So we'll have a walnut tailpiece and a maple key. So the next job is to start cutting these out, which I'll do on the bandsaw, and then we'll look at getting them finished. Right, so we have the key roughed out of the bandsaw. Just needs a bit of cleaning up, and also the tailpiece, as we can see there. So the next thing to do is going to be a little bit of finishing on the outside edges of these, just tidy them up and thinning the key down so we've got a nice fit in there, and then we can look at cutting the warding into the key to match the warding in the core there. Focus, come on. There we go. So I shall get on with those and we'll come back in a minute. Right, so we have the key sanded down a bit. As we can see, it's quite a nice snug fit and fits in everywhere it should. So next thing is to mark up the warding on here, and then we'll start on that. Alright, then we have the warding marked out on both sides of the key. So we've got that one there and that one there, all matching up with the core. So what we are going to use is some little hand carving chisels, and we'll chisel these out so they fit perfectly on each one. So that's going to be a bit tedious, so I shall have a go at that and then we'll come back and see how it fits. Okay, so now let's see if we can get this to focus. We can see we have warding on the key and it fits just perfectly. Everything works. So still needs a bit of finishing off, a little bit of sanding down and cleaning, but we'll do that in a little while. In the meantime, we'll start on the tailpiece, what I'll try and do first, I think, is actually cut the slot in it. Because it's actually going to be easier to get a slot in there finished and then trim the core to it than the other way round. So I'll have a go at getting that sorted out, and then we'll come back and work on the core, and hopefully we can then get that fitted on the back and have the key in there all working nicely. Well, as we can see, first failure of the project. It's going to be a bit awkward, but what I think I'm going to do is have another go. But what I will do is probably cut the square hole first and then cut the shape out on the bandsaw again, and hopefully we can get it to stay together this time. So I shall give that a go and then come back. Right then, take 2 of the tailpiece. We have the square hole cut out, and if you can see on there, it's all marked up. So back over to the bandsaw, I'll cut that out and see how it turns out. Right, so that worked. Needs a little bit of finishing off and rounding off just from the bandsaw, but it should be usable. So all we need to do now is mark up the back of the core here, and then we can take 2 pieces, 2 cuts in there, cut there, so that will slot over the top. So I shall get all that marked up and see how that goes. Right, so luckily enough I kept the block of wood I used when we were cutting out the keyway in the core, so I've managed to clamp that in there to hold it tight so I can do the 2 cuts that way. We've got a mark around here for the depth, so we shall get those done and then do the other little cuts and see if we can get it to fit. Okay, so we've got the back of the core cut down, and we've got a nice fit with the tailpiece. That all goes together quite nicely, like so, and all turns and works. So the next thing to do is we need to drill a couple of small holes in here. Oh, sorry, a couple of small holes in here, so we can get a couple of nice little screws in there to hold that into place. So we'll get that done, and then we can get some sanding and finishing done. Right then, I think that's about enough for today, but we now have a tailpiece all fitted, so the core's in there nice and solidly, and compared with the original. And we also have the key with the warding, which sits in there quite nicely, so the whole thing does seem to work okay. So next things to do will be making some pins and drilling some holes through the Bible and into the core, and see if we can actually get this lock to work. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.